If you'd like to have more of an alert, awake, more conscious practice today, I would invite you to start seated, still seated comfortably. If you did the flow before this and you really just need to rest, or even if you didn't do the flow before this and you need that grounding, restful energy, lay down. You can lay on your back or your belly, does not matter. Just get comfortable. So support under the knees is great, under the back. No, I think this is good. And allow your rib cage to really open up in a non-disturbing way. You can even imagine that you're cracking it open, really exposing the viscera to the sun, warming all of your insides, creating a nice soft warmth in the center of your body. That as you breathe, as you inhale and the air comes down into that center, and stir everything around. And as you exhale, the air leaves the body, but also presses that heat through the limbs, through the arms and the legs. And you can even imagine that heat leaving through the fingers and the toes. Breathing this way, trying to imagine it this way. Breathing in, cool air, feeling the sensation of the nostrils or the mouth. Feeling the heat of the belly. Everything stirs around. And as you exhale, all of that energy, all of that warmth spreads through the limbs and leaves through the fingers and the toes. Cooling the self down to find this yin practice. Begin inviting in cooler and cooler air, cooling down the center of the body so that as you stir it around, send it through the limbs and out the fingers and toes, the body cools down. Do that same breath technique we've done a few times this week. Breathing like you have a straw between your lips, or if you are able to roll your tongue, rolling the tongue and then breathing through that rolled tongue. Feeling the cool sensation in and the cool sensation out. Sometimes with this type of breath, with this practice, it's helpful to imagine a color of air, a cooling color. So maybe a light blue. You're breathing in light blue air, a fog comes into the belly and it swirls around, mixing with any other color that's in there until that light blue color overtakes all the other colors. And then that light blue fog or smoke spreads through the limbs and out the toes, the fingers, and maybe now also through the crown of the head. Beginning to cool the mind as well. It can take us a little while sometimes to really drop into our practice, especially a practice that is still. So by soothing the body, we can begin to soothe the mind. So now let's bring our attention up towards our head. You soften the forehead, any creases there. You relax the muscles of the eyes, allowing the eyeballs to merely rest in the eye sockets. Relax the nostrils, maybe they get a little bit wider. As the air comes in and out, the body breathing itself. And now unhinge the jaw, soften it. Let there be space between the upper and the bottom rows of teeth. Releasing the inner ear and the scalp now. Breathing in coolness, freshness, crispness. Breathing out heat, staleness, needlessness. Bringing to mind what has been your focus lately. What has been taking the majority of time in your mind, the space? What have the clouds in the sky of your mind been about? Not judging them for being positive or negative, good or bad, just noticing what they are completely objectively. And then like a light switch. Think about what you've been thinking about for the last few years, the last decade. What has been your pursuit? Thinking about the smaller, more local mind versus the bigger mind, the peripheral. What has been occupying your worries, your goals? Perhaps there's been sacrifices made, pursuit of those things. Perhaps your more recent thoughts have also had sacrifices to be made to pursue those things. Again, thinking all of this without judgment. Nothing is good, nothing is bad. It is what it is. And now I'd like you to think even wider. Cast your radius far, far away from where you are now. So the circumference is wide. It's a big range, and it includes the future. What do you want to see for your future? Is it related to what you've been concerned about, working towards the last 5, 10 years, the last few weeks? Or are those things not going to matter in the far distance? Or perhaps they help get you there. Again, not judging. Just bringing awareness here. Noticing sacrifices that have been made and will be made. Giving reverence to those. Begin to create an intention for today. So we're coming back in, we're zooming way back in, not even to just lately, but today, to this moment. How do you want to feel today? Not what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get over or work through? But how do you want to feel? Trying to make it one word, maybe two. If nothing is coming to mind, that's okay. Just be with what's present without judgment. Greeting everything with love. Take a deep inhale. And now let go, refresh. Another time just like that, breathing in, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, hands down, refresh. And let a smile come across your face just for yourself. This time is just for you to grow, to expand. I'm going to have you, if you have a prop, if you're laying down beneath the legs, I'm going to have you move it to the side. If you're seated, I'm going to have you lay down. We're going to start the practice in supported bridge. So lying down, tucking the shoulder blades underneath you, feet flat on the floor, and then press into the feet enough to slide a prop of some sort, something that's supportive, a few inches high under the sacrum. Keeping the shoulder blades tucked beneath you, let the palms come up to receive, feeling the cool air on the palms, the forearms and the upper arms. Feeling the shoulders, the chest, the belly, And now come to the pelvis. Does your pelvis feel good where it is with a hinge, or would you like to extend the legs long and find space in the front of the pelvis? You can allow the toes to fall out wide here, softening all of the muscles of the body, melting. Releasing effort. If you'd like more of an edge here, this is a yin practice, so an edge is allowed. You can begin to lift up the level of the support that's under your sacrum. So that could be, if it's a block, going towards the middle or the highest level. If you're using rolled up blankets at home, maybe rolling up a couple more, stacking them, getting creative. Either way, allowing the body to settle into the shape. It's mentioned in some texts that Shiva at some point was being searched for, and they couldn't find his head or his feet or his legs. They were so frustrated because they couldn't find his beginning and his end. And what he told them was, there is no beginning and end. Everything is continuous. Our bodies don't even have to have a beginning and an end. We can be shapeless. Can you allow yourself to not be in a shape right now, but to be shapeless? To imagine the skin being softened, so soft that it's no longer holding in the adipose. That the fascia no longer holds the muscles. The connective tissue, everything is soft, and you're just spilling over your prop in the most peaceful way. Absorbing the energy, the light, and the coolness of your practice. And as you absorb the light, begin to imagine a dimmer switch. And everything is dimming down now to a darker, cooler, softer practice. Relating back to that story I told about Shiva and his using the moon to cool himself down. Imagine a big moon passing over you. Now there's shade on your body. The moon inviting peace, tranquility, softness to the body. We're here for just another couple of minutes. This is a longer hold, so allow yourself to take the mind where it needs to go. All I ask is that you observe it. Notice the pathways it takes. If they're well worn, if there are negative patterns that you fall into, I'm going to ask you to restart and begin a new path. So, Aravaja, he is another character, another person or mythological being from some of the stories that we tell in yoga. And you can stay where you are. I'm seated now so that I can speak to the camera, but if you need to come out of the pose at all, feel free to remove the block and then hug the knees to the chest. Otherwise, stay where you are. I just want to talk about Bharavaja a little bit. He was very much Pitta-minded. His goal in life was to study the Vedas, to learn all of the texts, to get all of the wisdom. He wanted to know everything there was to know. And that's what he did. He made sacrifices. He didn't get to have the family relationship he wanted. He lost friends. He had no items of comfort. He was often tired. He was successful in searching for wisdom. He studied the Vedas and he knew them well. And when it came time to the end of his life, all he wanted, his final wish, was to finally see Shiva, to just be in his splendor. And he was. Shiva came to him at the end of his life, as Shiva does, to end things. And he said, I'm very proud of you. You've learned all of the Vedas. But what have you gotten in return? How has that helped anyone? And Ravaja, he didn't know what to say. He thought that his knowledge would be so impressive to Shiva that that's all he focused on. And he was offered a chance by Shiva to come back one more time in one more lifetime with the knowledge that he knew, with his Vedic knowledge, and to keep studying. But what he needed to do now in the next lifetime was to share it. Because what good is it to have all of the knowledge, all of the wisdom, the compassion, the understanding, if we're not sharing it with others? So he came back and he spent his next lifetime sharing everything he knew, improving the lives of everyone who he met. And at the end of that lifetime, Shiva came back and said, I am so proud of you. Now you can end your life in peace if you'd like. And Ravaja chose instead to keep reliving, to keep coming back, because he learned that the true value wasn't the knowledge itself, but sharing the knowledge he had. So over and over again, he came back and he shared the wisdom of yoga, of the Vedas. He learned the values. He shared the layers of koshas of awareness with everyone that he met. And he became a true sage. That's why the pose named after him, Baba Raja Asana, it's hard for me to say, is called the sage pose. It's a twist. So it's turning to turn our attention towards others, feeling the heat, the pressure in the center of our body, but find grounding down through the legs. So he found his roots in knowledge, but he was able to turn and share that knowledge with others. If you're still in your bridge pose, I'd like you to press into the feet and lift up the hips and remove your block. And then hug your knees into your chest. And rock side to side. Nice and slowly. Stirring around. Imagine a big circle like you're tracing the moon. Going in one direction, then the other. And now let the soles of the feet come together and the knees come apart. If you need to place blocks under the thighs, knees, or calves for some support, you certainly can. The heels can be as close to, as far away from the pelvis as what feels good for you, what feels comfortable. Again, noticing that there may be an edge here. You may feel a bit of sensation or stress. That's a good thing. You just want to respect it and not go further than that. Again, grounding down, reflecting on the story. Reflecting on those questions that I asked at the beginning of the practice. What has been your big goal? Is it something that can be helpful to others? And is it something that comes at a personal sacrifice to you, that you're missing out on things along the way? Because that's what happened to him. His first life, he didn't get to have fun. He didn't get to enjoy relations, community. And these stories that we tell, they're just that. They're just stories. Just helps us understand principles and ideas, sutras. We only get one life. We don't have the opportunity to come back time after time and keep retrying. So it's important for us to learn this the first time. And when you know better, you do better, as the great Oprah Winfrey says. But think about how you can know better and how you can do better. And invite that in as a personal mantra for your practice today. Inhaling, when I know better, I do better. When I exhale, I know better, I do better. Repeating that, letting it be a Gata meditation. Inhale, when I know better, I do better. Exhale, when I know better, I do better. And this is naturally going to bring up that Samavriti, that same breath. So the breath is the same on both sides. You can invite in a Samavriti square breath, inviting in pauses between the inhale and the exhale. More opportunity to repeat the mantra to yourself. Creating a new path, not that well-worn path of hardship on yourself, of negativity, of judgment, with grace and compassion, understanding that you're doing the best you can with what you know. Guy in the story, he didn't know better. He thought he was doing what would ultimately please Shiva, the one that he wanted to please most. But that's not what it was. Shiva was impressed with knowledge, but anyone can learn. It's about compassion, it's about sharing. And that's what he was able to learn. That's what he was able to do better once he knew better. Begin to close your legs towards each other and walk your feet wide on your mat. Toes in, heels out, and then let the pelvis scoop under. Bring the arms out either to a T or cactus the arms. And then cross the arms now. Right arm over left and give yourself a big hug. Your fingertips can even search for your shoulder blades behind you. And then settle down weight onto the fingertips and try to open through the collarbones. If the mind feels busy, allow it to feel busy. Just acknowledge it, label it. Think to yourself, my mind is busy. Our thoughts just want to be acknowledged. To acknowledge them and let them go with no attachment, with no judgment. Pure welcoming and releasing. Extend the arms out again, wide, stretching them far apart, even arching the back, lifting the rib cage up. And then doing the other side, left arm over right. Big hug, look for the shoulder blades, and then press down into the hands to pull the shoulder blades apart nice and wide. Noticing where you feel stretch and sensation. Finding places in the body that are interesting. Maybe like we did yesterday, find the places in the body that aren't normally so interesting, but that you can make interesting. Perhaps the tops of the feet can be interesting now. Can you feel air on them? You've looked at your feet a lot. Can you see the tops of your feet in your mind's eye? And notice how easy it is to become mindful, to become present in your current awareness, just by thinking of a silly body part like the top of our feet. Extend the arms again wide and stretch the legs long. Reach the arms overhead, get a full body stretch. as long as you can. Let it feel really good. Roll the ankles and the wrists. Now we're going to find our banana pose. I'm going to give an option. So this option is either going to feel really good or really weird in your body. Okay, sometimes good is weird, so all you weirdos, you do what you want to do. The option is to do it with a supported bridge. So you'll place a block under the sacrum, and then you'll do your banana pose exactly the same as normal. But I want you to notice what's interesting. Notice what's different this time. So let's start by walking the feet towards the right. Again, option to keep the sacrum down on the floor or supported by a block. And then reach the right arm first towards the right, then the left, perhaps the crown of the head follows. The entire sacrum is heavy. Feel the stretch on the left side of the body. Same options to intensify, crossing the left ankle over right, rubbing the left wrist with the right hand. Soft left shoulder, soft left hip point. And feel the expansion of the chest as you breathe in. The softness, the releasing back down as you breathe out. Coming back to your mantra, Gata. When I know better, I do better. Or any other meditative tool that you can pick up out of the toolkit that you're learning, that you're cultivating, crafting so well. Every practice, you learn some new way to help the mind focus. You're creating new experiences in the mind. Good thing. Sukha. Now come back through center, starting with the arms and the crown of the head, and then the left leg and the right. Once again, stretching along, letting everything open, and then stepping the left foot to the left, right foot to the left arm, right arm, top of the head. Making the adjustments that you need to make, deepening the pose in the way you'd like to deepen it. And now back through center. One more reach, and then float the hands down by the hips, and then shift through the shoulders. Bend the knees, and windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Bring the feet wide on the mat. And eventually, we're going to drop both knees towards the right. So when you're ready, you can shift the hips a little towards the left if you like, so that you can drop the knees towards the right. Arms can do what they like. Perhaps the right hand comes towards the right thigh. If you'd like a little bit of a quadricep stretch in the left leg, you can tuck the heel towards the glute and reach with the left hand, and then pull that foot towards the left glute, getting a bit of a quad stretch as well. Shoulders tucked under behind you, chest lifted, face soft. Sometimes what we need most in our practice is space, is quiet, time to reflect. Notice in this time of spacious quietness, time of reflection, if you notice that there's space between the thoughts, you can just sit in the awareness and enjoy that space. Enjoy the slowness of the mind. The mind will never be truly empty, but it can be truly slow. Bring the knees back up, feet wide on the mat, and a few windshield wipers either side. When you're ready, landing both knees towards the left, perhaps sliding the hips a bit towards the right to make this happen easier for you. Same option to guide that back heel, that right heel towards the right glute. Use the hand, take a quad stretch, and reach with the left hand towards the left knee. Can you begin to find a wonder, an awesomeness of your breath, being in awe of it? We're the only creatures that breathe automatically, but can also control our breath, that can have this pranayama practice. How special is that? This life force is constantly moving through our body, even without us doing it on purpose. We can also invite in and alter it as we need to, as we want to. Feel gratitude for your breath, for the cooling properties as it continues to cool the body, to find this moon shade, this yin practice. Do you notice heat or friction of the mind? Try to put out that fire with softness, with tenderness, kind words, or even movement, water-like movement, bringing in a water element can help. Knees back up towards center, feet flat, windshield wiper if you'd like, or hug the knees into the chest and stir the knees around. Notice any sensation, any pinching, anywhere talking to you through the hips or the knees. Let your ears perk up towards those areas, really paying attention. We're going to find out our reclined deer pose, possibly our reclined swan pose, depending on the space in your body. Plant the left foot, raise the right leg high, and then cross that right foot in front of the left thigh. This is our reclined deer pose. So you can reach back or behind that left thigh, or you can set the left foot on a block or bolster for just a little more elevation if grabbing behind the thigh or the shin is too much. Pausing here. If you are very open and you would like more of an edge, you have the option for a reclined swan pose. What this is fork lifting the arms through the right calf, the right shin. And you can just use the hands, so you don't have to fork lift. You can just use the hands. And then you stretch that left leg long. And you pull, a wood element uses to pull that left heel towards the left shoulder. And then you push with metal elements, the right knee away from the right shoulder. You can flex through the foot or point through the toe, it doesn't matter. If you're doing that supported or that supine swan, if you're forklifting, make sure that you're not doing this. Make sure you're not really rounding up. We want the upper body to be relaxed, so rest. Compromise with yourself by letting the hands hold the leg, not the elbows or the forearms. And now for a little bit of a deeper twist, you're going to hold on. If you're in this position that I'm in, that Erin's in that swan pose, you're going to keep the right hand where it is holding the shin. You're going to take the left hand to the right knee and cross it across the body, bringing the right foot across next to the left hip. If that's too intense, or if you are in the deer pose, you're going to have the left foot be flat. And then again, use the left hand to guide the right knee across the body, landing the right foot down. Option to bring hands to the belly, just to feel the movement, not just the diaphragm moving and the lungs. But as we breathe, all of our organs have to shift. They move to adjust, to make room. And your fingertips become so sensitive. As you breathe, you can imagine and feel the movement of the organs. The liver especially moves a lot when you breathe, so maybe that right hand is feeling some movement. Time to come back up through center. Stretch that right leg up into the air, hand behind the thigh. And point and flex. And then bring that right leg just across the midline. So the big toe of the right foot is coming towards the left shoulder. You can roll the ankle if you'd like, or you can point and flex. But keep the right hip heavy down towards the ground as you pull that right big toe towards the left shoulder. Bend the knee, set the right foot down flat. Lift the left leg up and cross it over in front of the right thigh. Option here for that supine, that reclined deer pose, just like this. Or again, option to place a block, bolster, blanket, something under that right foot. So there's just a little bit of lift if having the foot flat isn't enough for you. Finding whichever variation on this side is preferable. Looking for an edge. Feeling something. Trying to even label that something. What do you feel? If you could describe it in a couple words. Again, taking out the words of good or bad. Try and get more creative. Shiva was very creative. Remember the story about the snake around his neck, fire in his hand, standing on that demon dwarf. That was pretty creative of him to use all that to find compassion and to use it to dance to find rhythm. I think if he can do that, we can do this. And now we're going to take that twist. So whichever version you're in, we're going to let the left foot come across the body to come flat on the right side of our body. Whether that right leg is straight or that right knee is bent. Arms can do whatever you like. Maybe you've got the wiggles today and you just want to wiggle your fingers and toes. That's okay. Yin doesn't have to be a statue practice. We're all living, breathing. There's no such thing as complete stillness. So at least not while we're Shiva, if you know what I'm saying. Thank you for laughing, Erin. I appreciate it. I mentioned earlier that Shiva means a life, an energy full body. Shava means no energy, no life in the body, which is why we take Shavasana. But it's called corpse pose because there's no effort, there's no life, there's no requirements being asked. You just get to be. So as long as we're Shiva, as long as we're alive, nothing is truly still. The heart is beating, the mind is moving. So your Yin practice can be a Shiva practice. So there'll be some movement, whether it's digitally, the fingers, maybe even the mouth if you want to be sneaky moving, wiggle the tongue. Again, get weird, guys. Weird times. And now uncross and come back to center. Right foot down, left foot up. Stretching through the heel, rolling through the foot. This time we're going to cross that left foot over the midline, pulling the left toe towards the right shoulder. The left hip crease is weighted down, so you can put your hand on your left hip crease and guide it down as you reach through the heel. You can use your hand, and you can probably locate your IT band. It's that fibrous band right now that probably feels really firm, like a rubber band being pulled on. Maybe not. Maybe you've got great, nice, loose IT bands. Mine are screaming most of the time. So I can really feel mine right now. So I have to be mindful of my own edge even. So definitely be mindful of yours. Again, massage while we're in these stretches is really good for the body. It's good for our fascia. When there's no movement, when there's no massage, there's not enough liquid, there's not enough moisture in the fascia, and it becomes hard and stiff. There's a shift of collagen. All sorts of crazy things happen. So it's good to move, it's good to massage. That can be a plug for Elise when massage starts back up. You guys call Elise, get a massage. Good, come back through center. Place the foot down. Hug both knees into the chest. Rock side to side. And we are going to come to a seated position. So you can rock and roll all the way up, or you can come through a side laying position. Press up with the top hand and then find seated. Good. From here, we're going to find square pose. So blocks, blankets, bolsters, support. If pigeon pose is a lot for you, because this is double pigeon in vinyasa style yoga. We are going to start with the right foot on the bottom. So right shin down, bend the knee, bring the heel away from the body. Okay, and immediately notice if there's any sensation that is not favorable on the inside or the outside of the knee. If the knee's lifted, place some support. Then we're going to lean onto that right hip so we can swing the left leg around, and we're trying to stack our shins like fire logs. That's why this is called fire log. The right foot will come on top of the right knee. You might notice lots of space here. Again, you can find some support. You can support it in this way that I'm demonstrating, or there's another way. You can also place support under the bottom foot and the bottom leg. And then this brings it to more of like a Sukhasana type stance. But you might notice a little bit of pinching in the left hip this way. There's a lot of tissue there, a lot of innervation. So if this is too intense through the front of the left hip, I would go back and pad through the other way. For me, this feels pretty good. But then again, this feels okay for me too as well. So totally up to you. You can scoot the pelvis closer, or you can scoot the pelvis away. So push into the hands and then scoot the hips back away from the shins. Flex through the feet. Notice the knees. If none of these modifications work for you, what I'm going to have you do is Janu Shirshasana. So one leg, either leg, it doesn't matter, will be straight. The other one, I'm going to have you either bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the straight leg, or try and cross it over on top and bring a prop under the bent knee, just like that. And I'd like you to sit up nice and tall. Lengthen the spine, invite in metal element. So that means a squeezing in of the muscles and an upward direction of energy through the top of our head. We're growing taller. Yin isn't always about melting. Sometimes it's about firming. As long as the goal is a stretch and mobility, that's all that matters. There's other movements, again, other wiggles that you need here, either as distraction or as a need of the body. Go ahead and take those. This is going to be a shorter hold for us today, so we've only got about 1 more minute here. Again, inviting in that Satali breath if you'd like, that straw breathing. Leaning back, hands to the floor behind you. So you can uncross the legs, straighten them out, and then bend through the knees, neutralize. We are going to go straight into the other side. So when you're ready, just tend the left leg bends first, and then we stack the right leg over for that square shape, that fire log, double pigeon, so many names, guys. And when you're ready, when you're in your shape, sit tall. Shoulders down and back, crown lifted. Pull the ears back, pull the belly in. Lift the pelvic floor. It's okay to have effort. Just like our story, it's okay that he kept searching for his Vedic knowledge. He just needed to share it. He needed to enjoy life, not have so many sacrifices. You can still enjoy the pose. You can have some effort still too. Now exiting the pose. Hands down behind you. Windshield wiper through the legs. I'll tell you right now, our next pose is supported fish. So you can do this with a bolster, with blocks, with a rolled up blanket. I myself am going to use blocks. Looks like Erin is choosing a bolster. If you're using a bolster, you can do this one of two ways. You can sit and bring it all the way to the sacrum and then lay the entire thorax if you're an ant, or torso if you're a human being, over your bolster, or you can bring it just to the tips of the shoulder blades behind you, depending on where you want more of that opening. Either way, allow the shoulders to roll open and pour over the edges of the bolster. If you're using blocks, one block between the shoulder blades, one block for the head, finding some support. Again, option to change how intense you'd like that lift to be of the heart. Whether you're looking for comfort or for edges, for opening space in the front of the body, but realizing that as we open the front of the body, as we crack the rib cage open from behind, there's compression from the front, there's compression from behind, because there is that yin and yang, there's that balance. So if you open one area, you do close another. So find the balance that you need in your practice today. And with your heart space open, come back to that big picture, that long-term goal, desire, thoughts, plan that we talked about at the very beginning of class. Your heartfelt desire, sankalpa. And allow yourself to daydream in that space, as if that big circle is a big bubble around you. The front of your heart is completely open and exposed. Let your mind daydream here in all positive ways that how it can all work out exactly like you'd like it to. Not worrying about the problems that can come up, the hurdles, the fires. Instead, thinking about it as a path of ease towards your greatest goals and hopes. Letting this be a new pathway in the mind. Depending on how comfortable you are, you're welcome to stay where you are for your Shavasana, or you can make some adjustments. I would suggest placing support under the knees, so perhaps another pillow or blanket so the knees can be bent but supported. Something soft under the heels. Let there be more space between your hands and the body, your toes in the midline. Give yourself permission to take up space, to fill up that big bubble, that big circle of your hopes. Allowing yourself to not become like Paravaja, where all he did is focus on work, on trying to please someone. Instead, he was able to learn that he could share, that he could be helpful, compassionate, and that was the ultimate gift, the ultimate reward. So take that energy with you as you find rest, as the body begins to soften more and more with each breath. Inhaling, feeling a little lighter in the front of the body, a little cooler. Exhaling, heavy to the back body. Again, roots growing down into the floor. And the breath begins to soften. Finding a natural breath. One that the body breathes all on its own, all the time, every day. You're only now noticing the ease of it, how smooth it is. No catches at the top or the bottom. Feeling gratitude for Shiva, for this lifeful body, for Shakti, for the energy in your space, for the prana, the life force within you. I'm going to leave you once again in your Shavasana. Please take your time. Don't be rushed. Stay here to rest, to think or not think, to feel or not feel for as long as you need to.